Hey everybody, what's up? Killjoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're going to be talking about the future of the Fear Street franchise. Will there be more movies coming to Netflix sometime soon from that same director that I like so much? We're going to talk about all this in just a second here, but first I'm going to need y'all to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Also, please consider supporting me on Patreon if you want to see extra videos and listen to my podcast every week. Check that out by clicking on the link in the description below. Alrighty, now let's get into it.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Well, I'm Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast!
You son of a...
God, don't do that.
Well, sometimes that is better.
So with the Fear Street trilogy of movies, whatever you want to call them really, that's kind of like a TV series, it's kind of a series of movies, whatever this hybrid thing is that you want to call it, there is a lot of room for potential new movies to come in the future. Throughout all three films, we did see like other slashers that really didn't have any backstories. There's one that looks like Brahms from The Boy, there's one that looks like Michael Myers. We could see entire movies based off of those characters that have something to do with a new plot line. And if you remember from the end of Fear Street Part 3, there was that like random shot at the very end where someone steals the book. We didn't really see who though, it was just some random character. Director Lee expanded on that a little bit and said, one of the exciting things about Fear Street is the fact that the universe is big and allows for a lot of space. One of the things that I talked about before I was hired was that we have a potential here to create a horror Marvel cinematic universe where you can have slasher killers from lots of different eras. You have the canon of our main mythology that's built around the fact that the devil lives in Shadyside, so there's also room for everything else. Janet continues with, I think that my hope is that audiences like it enough that we can start building out more. We can think about what another trilogy would be, what standalones would be, what TV would be. I don't even think about it like TV or movies exactly anymore. That's the great thing about Netflix and about what Fear Street is, which is kind of a hybrid new thing. I'm excited about the possibility of what else can happen. I really started getting excited about a 50s slasher movie, which I haven't really seen and what that means. It's just cool to think about the different eras and what's possible as a horror fan. Okay, now that is really interesting. A slasher film set in the 50s with like 50s music throughout to keep that like Fear Street vibe going, that would be really cool. I can definitely see more Fear Street movies happening, but there is something I'm worried about. Like, I hope they're not just gonna like throw them out to make them. Because like, sure, you can center entire movies based off of some of these slashers that have already been introduced in the past couple of films, but the problem with that is you might just put out like janky sequels that are like just made for money. Which, no offense to Netflix, but I wouldn't put it past them. Now, so far I am optimistic about a new series of movies. It sounds like they're once again gonna have that like arc that goes through like a new trilogy, so to say, where it's like a new person is in control of the book, which I'm totally down for. But if you're just gonna have like these standalone movies that take place throughout time, like through until all the way back to 1666, like let's just say you have a standalone 50s movie with a new slasher, whatever. Like, if it doesn't add anything to the overarching plot or whatever, like I'm not really interested in that. That's just another slasher film. We have seen plenty of slasher films at this point. We gotta like spice it up. You know what I mean? If you want to watch a great slasher movie, there's plenty from the 80s. There's plenty from the 90s. There's plenty from the early thousands. You gotta give us something new if you're gonna touch on the slasher genre and expand it into like a big universe, kind of like the Conjuring universe, the Marvel universe. That's why I'm such a huge fan of what Christopher Landon is doing with the slasher genre. He's doing something new and inventive. And if you're unfamiliar with him, he did both the Happy Death Day movies, Freaky, and possibly, which I need to do a video on this. There's talks of having like this movie where it's Freaky and Happy Death Day like in the same universe, like some kind of film where both of them meet up. That would be kind of dope. But that's honestly the biggest reason why I wasn't super impressed with 1978. It was just a straight up slasher. Like, it didn't really do anything super new. It did have like a few really cool like 70s songs that I thought was dope. Like, that was cool. They obviously put a lot of their budget into getting those songs, which is cool. But like 1994 felt like its own thing. That's why it's still my favorite of the entire franchise. Like, it had an attitude, it had some great characters, it had a dope soundtrack, but it also did something new. You had your protagonists struggling with something you don't usually see in a slasher film. Also, you have a slasher film that mostly ends positive, mostly. It felt very fresh to me, where 1978 just kind of felt like another Friday the 13th sequel. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I really enjoyed 1978. But honestly, like, I much prefer 1994 just because it felt a little more original, felt a little more creative. And hopefully they can keep that same ideal constant in a new set of movies, because if they're just gonna pump out more slasher flicks, well, I'm just not too big a fan of that. And considering all the buzz that Fear Street has been getting lately, I would not be shocked if they decided to do a new set of movies like in the next couple of years or something, because wow, like, so many people were really impressed by these films. I'm one of them personally. I loved all the Fear Street movies. They were so fun. The conclusion was fantastic. It was a really well written story overall. I'm very excited to see more of these in the future. If they want to try and like do that again, maybe with some of the same characters, maybe with some new characters, I'm down. I'm invested in this already. I just hope it's good. I hope they can live up to what was so good about these first 3 films. Also, once again, just to reiterate this, a 50s slasher film? Hell yeah! Like, I am so down for that. Maybe make it black and white. I don't know, like, that's just an idea. But do you want any more Fear Street movies? Leave me something about it in the comments below, and yes, let's talk about that 50s slasher film, because I want to hear your theories on what they could possibly do with that. Thank you all so much for watching my little Fear Street update. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, just look up Killjoy Jake and I'll come up. Check out my second channel, Movie Smoothie. I just did a whole bunch of reviews of all the new Rick and Morty episodes, and actually the Rick and Morty Season 5 Episode 5 video comes out shortly after this. Please consider supporting me on Patreon as well. The link for that will be in the description below, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.